Hey y'all, Joe of all trades here, bringing to you the first true episode in my flick pick series, bringing to you a pretty uh, not well known film by written, directed, and starring a very well known star, Steve Buscemi, talking about Trees Lounge from 1996. Um, like I said before, my flick pick intro video, uh, what I want to cover with flicks is kind of movies that are not maybe all that well known or through time have kind of been forgotten, but they have a great story with great performances, and they really are great films, but they aren't blockbusters, so to speak. So I've always loved this movie. I've always loved the fact that it was a passion project by Steve Buscemi, and it's really fantastic film. It's not a happy film, but I think it's if you've ever if you ever worked in a bar, been around kind of a bar scene, you can certainly identify with the stories that happen in this movie, and it's really quite cathartic in places. So really just want to dig into this and absolutely recommend watching this film. If you, and I think weekend, Friday, Saturday night, you don't have something to watch, I would absolutely recommend throwing this on. So before we dig into it, but if you like this video, go ahead, like, comment, share, subscribe. Go ahead and follow us, Joeofalltrades.content, Joeofalltrades.content. Going to be found on YouTube, Spotify, some stuff on Instagram. This probably won't more long photos and other content for Joe of All Trades, but then also Patreon. No exclusive merch or exclusive content, anything like that yet. But if we get to a certain point where we have enough subscribers or patrons on Patreon, then perhaps we can get into that. But let's go ahead and dig into this. So first of all, this movie was distributed by Orion, kind of a at the time kind of a smaller independent distributor. Like I said, this was written, directed, and starring Steve Buscemi. Obviously, Steve Buscemi's a really prolific actor of some not well known roles in the 80s, but certainly a star 90s on up until today. So obviously he's got a prolific filmography. We're talking Reservoir Dogs, Con Air, Big Lebowski, Boardwalk Empire, Billy Madison, Wedding Singer, Armageddon, Sopranos. He is a great. I really think Steve Buscemi's performance as Nucky Thompson in Boardwalk Empire is really a great role. It's too bad the show didn't pan out as well as the first two seasons. But obviously he's a fantastic actor and he's a fantastic character actor. Playing a lot of supporting or kind of uh, good character roles coming in and out of shows. So obviously he did direct this. It was a passion project for him. Some other directing credits for his are season Sopranos season 3 episode 11 called Pine Barrens. A lot of people think that that is the best Sopranos episode ever made. I would probably agree with that. It's certainly one of the most comedic episodes, and it's it's just fantastic. Another movie that he directed is a prison drama called Animal Factory, starring Willem Dafoe and Edward Furlong. I might also be covering that on Flick Picks at some point in time, but it's a pretty good prison drama. He also directed other TV episodes on Oz, Nurse Jackie, 30 Rock, Homicide: Life on the Street. So Steve Buscemi, obviously well known for an actor, but he has some great directing credits in television, and I think that his what he wanted to do with this film, I think he succeeded in uh, telling the story that he wanted to tell. I think it's a very compelling, um, character study of what Roger Ebert called a daily saloon drinker. So movies also starring Chloe Sevigny in she's pretty young in this film. Um, but and that kind of plays into the storyline. But kind of a it girl of the 90s and 2000s, that sort of thing. So other movies that she starred in: Kids, Boys Don't Cry, where she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. American Psycho, Big Love. She was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress in that film. Zodiac, and then various seasons of American Horror Story. Another guy, with a supporting role is Mark Boone Jr., kind of an independent film guy, kind of has smaller roles. He's mostly well known for his character on Sons of Anarchy, and also kind of a bad cop in Batman Begins. Some other guys: Anthony LaPaglia, well known, kind of smaller roles or independent movies, many television roles. He's in Empire Records, Road to Perdition. I think he has a voice in Happy Feet. So, and then also there is kind of a cameo, so to speak, by Samuel L. Jackson. As you know, he's known for being in every movie ever made. And then also Daniel Baldwin, Mimi Rogers, Debbie Mazar, who can be seen a lot of different movies, but probably best well known as I think a second Guma for Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. So budget on this film was less than $2 million. It only made $750,000 at the box office, so 750 grand. And basically, what this movie tells about is just Steve Buscemi plays a guy named Tommy. He's basically a hopeless alcoholic who loses his job, and he's now, his former boss is now dating his ex-wife. His ex-wife is pregnant. The kid may or may not be his. And then basically, Tommy copes with these failures by hanging out at a local dive bar and drinking. And then, at some point, he tries to get back out on his feet. But, as the movie goes on, the story progresses and certain things happen. I'm not going to play spoiler, but, it's a great, kind of a sad, kind of cathartic story, but it's well told. So the Roger Ebert review, he gave the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, saying that Buscemi knows about alcoholism from inside and out and backward, and his movie is the most accurate portrait of the daily saloon drinker I've ever seen. So that goes to tell you, and I, being someone who's worked in a restaurant, been around people who worked in a restaurant for many, many, many years, and you see certain people come in every day, and have drinks and that sort of thing, you can absolutely tell that this is an accurate portrayal of those types of people. So, a couple of notes that I have for the film is that, it's certainly a cathartic watch for anyone who's been dealt a shit hand, and they themselves might be the dealer. So that's kind of the story that's being told. If you've ever worked at a bar or been a frequent patron of one, these characters that come into a bar every day, like I said, and it's just an ordinary event. They come in every day and sit at the end of the bar. It's like a somber episode of Cheers. So, the movie definitely shows and portrays how alcohol can exacerbate, or be unhealthy method of easing people through awkward or bad moments in life. The lingo of the movie is accurate. There's obviously a lot of scenes in the bar. The language that the bartenders use. I think Steve Buscemi mentioned something about being 86th, meaning that he was going to get kicked out of the bar, which is frequent restaurant term for something being out of stock, or but also I think the original connotation of it was a bar in Greenwich Village. I think it's on 86th Street, and there was a side door, and if you were getting kicked out of the bar, you got kicked out of the side door and onto 86th Street, hence being 86th. Steve Buscemi's character, he's one of these people that we all may identify in our lives, where he may be an asshole, but he has some heartwarming qualities. So you might say, yeah, he's an asshole, but he's our asshole. He kind of plays a character to that effect. Um, there's some other cool cameos. Cameos from Michael Imperioli, who was on Sopranos as Christopher Moltisanti, uh, John Ventimiglia, who played Artie Bucco on Sopranos, um, and there's some other familiar faces in terms of that guys or character actors. Um, there's a great quote from the movie that I think it really sums up the film's message. Is that and Tommy says this at some point in the film. I don't think I'm spoiling the once you see it you'll understand. But basically the quote is everybody's fucked up, but nobody wants anybody else to think that they are, but everybody knows they are anyways. So that is kind of a poignant line in the film. It's fitting in the scene, and it's fitting as a sentence that kind of describes the whole movie. Um, in addition to just Steve Buscemi's um, story being told and what's going on in his life, it's also really cool because there's small plot lines about other patrons of the bar. Mark Boone Jr. kind of gets a storyline. There's a guy named Bill. He kind of gets a storyline in the film. So it also follows these people along the line and not just Steve Buscemi. And you can kind of see the effect of what life may be like if you're going to a bar every day. And then, and additionally, it's got a great soundtrack. There's a great needle drop in the movie. It's Arden's "Hold Your Head Up," and it's in a moment where Steve Buscemi could not, in fact, hold his head up. So I thought it was pretty fitting, kind of on the nose, but a great needle drop. Some other fun facts about this film: like I said, it was a passion project to Steve Buscemi, and Steve Buscemi has said that essentially this may have been him had he not pursued acting. I don't necessarily believe that. He may think that himself, but it's my understanding that Steve Buscemi was a firefighter before becoming a actor, and he was very philanthropic with money in his own time following September 11th. I know he went down there himself and worked in the rubble. So great guy for that. Um, Additionally, David Chase, the creator for The Sopranos, has cited Trees Lounge as being an influence for him, and including an influence in how Sopranos came to be. So that's pretty cool. So all in all, I think that this is a great film. Not a whole lot of people know about it. I it's um, it's not the happiest tale, but if you want a great story with great characters, um, Steve Buscemi should really be like. If I were him, this might be the proudest moment of my career, and it's certainly not nearly as successful as some of his other projects. Obviously, his portrayal as Nucky Thompson probably be 1A or 1B in this discussion, but it's currently streaming as of June 2nd. It's currently streaming free on Amazon, Tubi, Pluto, and Freevee. You may be asking what are some of those um, streaming services? Tubo, Pluto, and Freevee. Obviously, they are free, and they usually have kind of more under the radar films like this on it. So I highly suggest watching it. Um, you know, don't expect to be in a great mood before or after, but it really is a great story, and it deserves respect. It deserves attention, and I think that you cannot contemplate Steve Buscemi's career without watching it. So, hope you watch it. Hope you find this video entertaining, helpful, and obviously picking out flicks, that sort of thing. If there are any other recommendations that you have, please comment below. If you watch the movie, please comment below. Tell me how you liked it. And if there's any other suggestions, please feel free to do that. I would happily look into, other movies that I might consider, fitting in, the categorization of what I'm calling a flick pick. So thanks so much. enjoy, and on to the next flick.